All right, so this is CPT 230, and this is sadly the last class of the semester. So we're going to be kind of just going over a couple little extra things that you're going to need to finalize that project, the final project. It's not really an actual chapter in the book, although you could find this material in one of the chapters if you so chose. We'll just kind of go over couple little things that you'll need to kind of button it up. This is going to be a short one. The main thing we're going to be looking at is multiple forms. We won't be going over all the aspects of them as far as using them as almost like a kind of almost a pop-up. We'll be showing you kind of some ways that you can use them to kind of interact with each other in an easy method. There is a method where you can basically store a message from one form to the next and pass it back and forth, but we won't get into that. That's a little bit a little complicated, not necessary. I'll show you kind of an easier way you can do this, working with something with multiple forms. All right, let me get the screen share going. And this is just a startup Windows form project. And I'm going to simply just put like a button down. It's going to be used to open up the other form. So we'll call this maybe BTN. I don't know. We'll call it run. We'll keep things the same as what we always have been doing. And then we'll make the text say run too, or technically just run. All right, now let's throw a couple text boxes down. Maybe two. We'll give 2 text boxes. And we'll have, this will be txt from form 2. And we'll maybe make this one txt, I don't know, from form, I don't know. We'll call this maybe 2 form. I don't know, we'll just call this an input. We'll figure out what we wanted to do in a bit. Okay. All right, let's see here. That should be fine. We can leave them blank as far as what's in them. Okay. So, let's get to the code of this button real quick. All right, so in the code for the button, we want to basically be able to display a second form from one form. Okay, so we have one form going. We want to be able to then pop up a second form and then be able to, return back to our original form. There's, an easy way to do this, which is just simply right-click on our project over here. Let's go to Add. And down, you might see form windows right here, Windows Forms. If you don't see that one, you can go to New Item. And then an easy way to find it is just type form right here in the search bar. And if you scroll on down a little bit, you'll see form, Windows Form. And so if we click Add, oops, I forgot to name it. Well, by default, it'll get named form 2 if you didn't rename it like I meant to do there. Oh well, we'll leave it form 2. You could have named it. I'll show you where you would name it if you weren't as hasty as I was and clicked too quickly. Okay, so if you click on the actual form at the bottom, you can rename it. Recommended to rename it to whatever it's supposed to be, but I'll just leave it form 1 and form 2. Should be fine. Okay. So we have a form 2 class. Okay. And let us, how do we do this? Let's, let's get to form 2's code maybe. Let's give it maybe a button. Let's give it the same setup as the other one. We'll give it a button and then and 2 text boxes. So it'll be almost the same. We'll make these called like output 1 and 2 or something like that. Okay, and we'll make the button I don't know, we'll call it run, I guess. Why not? By the way, everything on this form is like any other object is only for this form. So we can name things exactly the same as they're named on form 1 if we want, because this is for this particular object, which is the form itself. We just happen to have 2 different forms of this project, which happen to look very similar. I'm going to put a label down actually as well, and change the text on this to say form 2. Oops, I didn't mean to double click it. I meant to single click it. It's going to kind of move things around a little bit. I'll put maybe another label on the first one that says form 1. But that way we can just, since I made them look almost identical, we can have them easier to tell apart. That was the idea there. So let's throw a label down on the first one real quick. And we'll just put the text saying form 1. Obviously, you don't have to do this on your forms. This is just for an easy way to tell them apart again. All right, so let's have form 1's run button. Our form 1 is going to use form 2. When you have multiple forms, one of the forms is usually treated as kind of the main form. Okay, so one is kind of the controller for your other forms. It will display other forms. Typically, a lot of times when coding, the other forms will be more pop-up style, where they'll have some sort of dialog box, and you'll click a button, and then based on that button, you'll do some things. That's a very classic way to do things. We might do something somewhat like that. But what we can do, we can add class data. Remember, the form itself is a class, but we can add some class data here. What's it called? Form 2. So if we make a class data based an object of the second forms type, we can then use that in the code. So let's call this maybe lowercase form 2. All right. So we have an object that's called form 2. Maybe in our initializing components, we'll have form 2 is a new form. New form 2, I guess. All right, so we initialize our variable here in the constructor, which we can actually maybe call that after initializing components. Before is fine as well. You could probably switch these around. It doesn't really matter too much. Basically, we're setting up the class data there. Once form 1 gets made, we're creating an object of form 2 type. Now you might say, well, that's kind of interesting. What's going to happen? Well, if we run it, you'll see that nothing really happens. You just see the one form, even though we've created a second form. Okay, let's let this do its thing. Shouldn't take too long. Okay, notice I just have form 1 showing. I don't have a form 2. If we want to use our form 1, we have a neat little method we can use to show it, which is simply the show method. Okay. And let's make our form 2 button just hide itself. So our form 2 button is going to say this.hide, which will hide itself, and our form 1 button will show that form. Okay, let's run it. And if I click this button now, you can't see because it's on the other screen, we see a second form has appeared. Now this form is our form 2 object. Notice it says it's a form 2 form, so this is our second form. But is it the final form? Anyway, if we click the run button here, we'll call that hide method, which obviously hides our other form. Okay, let's close this. All right, so we're getting there as far as what we need to do. Let's go to our form 2, and let's how do we want to go about grabbing that information? Let's see if this little trick will work. Let's make some data in our form 2 class, or let's actually make a method. How about that? Let's have a method in form 2, make it public. Let's call it, let's return a string, since that's what's going to be in our text boxes. And we'll say, we'll call this one, I don't know, get txt, what's the first one? Output. What would I have? Output 1 and 2, I think. And these are simply going to just return. Basically, we're gonna have one for each of them. Okay, so one method for each of these. I'm gonna change that to a 2. This to a 2. Okay, so we have 2 public methods that'll get the information from our boxes here. Okay. I think we might be able to do this after. Let's see if this will work here. Let's try it. I'm not sure if this will 100% work. We might have to do a slightly different method, the classic method, but if this one works, it'll save you some effort. Let's see here. Okay. Oops, forgot our parentheses here. All right, so what we're going to do, so we've got in our form 2, we've got our those 2 methods that we quickly threw in here, just returning us some data. In our form 1, we're going to assign our one text box, the text of it equal to the call of that method. So whatever gets returned there. Oh, sorry, I was getting bugged by emails. Let's see what happens here. So let's see here, that was from text box 1. I'll put information in both of them because I don't remember which one I actually labeled text box 1. So we'll click this run button and we'll type in here and click one. Yeah, it didn't do what I thought it was going to do. Or it did do what I thought it was not going to do. Okay, so we're going to have to do the good old method of passing data back and forth, which I was hoping we could have avoided because it is a little bit more cumbersome. Let's see here. Let me double check one thing. Which was which? Yeah, okay. Okay. All right. Excuse me. Yeah, been plagued by allergies this season. It's been not so fun. Okay, let me think here. Let's go back to our form 2. So we're gonna have to do probably is the show dialog result method instead. I believe that's the name of it. Yeah, it's called show dialog. Then we should be able to get it from there. Because I believe that one actually waits on the other form. if I'm recalling correctly. Yeah. Okay. So instead of using the show method, we're going to do the show dialog method. Show method just literally pops the form up. But show dialog actually pops it up and waits, which is the important aspect. And you can also get what's referred to as a dialog result from this, but we won't really go into that. Basically, you can get an OK result, a cancel result, all kinds of different results. If you type in dialog result dot, these are the results that you can get. You can get cancel, OK, yes, none, and no. But that's neither here nor there. We're not going to look at that right now. I mean, we could maybe, but we're just going to really look at how to work on passing data back and forth. But anyway, this show dialog result will pull up that other form, run it, and allow us to get information from it after the fact. Hence, let me do it one more time real quick. I wish they popped up on this screen by default instead of that screen. I mean, I guess maybe I could shift everything from one screen to the other and share the other screen. That probably would work, but I've got this one positioned where I want it. Anyway, so let's do this one more time, and we'll kind of go over what's happening here. All right, so we were in this form, and we just randomly got to a spot where we wanted to use our second form and then get information from it. So we use that show dialog result method here, which pops up the other form. It shows it, and it waits for a result. That's the important aspect of that method. So if we put in just garbage information here again, as soon as I click run here, basically it'll hide this form, which will, of course, give us a resulting input for this form here. Okay, so that's an easy way. We can also throw in, by the way, or we had that second method. Form 2 dot was a get output 2. All right. Now we'll run it one more time just to see it getting information from both of those sources. Okay, so if I click run and put in just some junk here, click run again, we see that all the information is put into our form. I think it waits on a hide method, by the way. I think it waits on that right there. Because I believe if we just, let me get rid of that temporarily. I think it waits on a hide or a close method, which there's a slight difference between the two, by the way. If we use the hide method, our form is still in existence in its current state. If we use I think the close method gets rid of it entirely. So we'll kind of demonstrate that real quick. Let's make a second button maybe. Well, I guess I can click it multiple times. How about that? That'll work. Yeah, I'll just click the button a second time to demonstrate that. All right, so first form should be popping up. I'll click the button the first time. We get our second form here. I'll put in some just junk data again. Click the run button, which hides the other form. If I click the run button one more time, notice form 2 just is reshown. It does not create a new one. This is the same form that we saw previously. It just gets hidden each time. Okay, so basically the GUI is turned off. It's disabled. And then clicking the button, which the show method re-enables that GUI. The first time, we're not just enabling it. Well, actually, we already created it ahead of time as well. The show button enables the GUI. Okay, so either show the show method. So either show will enable it, or the show dialog method will enable the GUI. So that's the visual components of the form itself. So if I click run again, same thing's happening. We're seeing that GUI gets enabled, and of course that the hide method disables the GUI. That's how that works. Let me stop this. I was going to let's maybe make a second button on form 1 and maybe another label just to show that we can work with it Or I mean another text box, sorry, not label. Here we go. Just so we can do some other little things with this thing. Let's see here. Oh no, the spacing's off. No. Oh, they're kind of off-centered. Oh, I'm gonna waste too much time just fiddling on this thing. Close enough, close enough. I'll try not to look at it too much. All right, let's rename the button just for good times. We'll call this run 2, I guess. I don't know. Just name it something half decent. Since we have no actual function behind this, name it whatever. And we'll call this one, I don't know, run 2, because we named it run 2, why not? Okay, let's get to our code. All right, so this time, we'll just have this have, what do we name that text box? Let's name it txt output 3. I mean, we could rename that other one from output whatever. Oh, that was input. Wait, these had output? Okay. Anyway, I guess we'll name it the same as this one. So this one was input. Wait, this one was input. Yeah. So we'll make this input 3 then, I guess. Not output. I was trying to keep them all named the same, but I kind of didn't. Oh well. I could rename them all, I guess, to make it make sense. But that, yeah, you can rename them on your own, have them all named like input or output or whatever. I mean, technically that's output since we're putting data into it, so it should technically have been output. Same with the form 2 should have been input because you're grabbing information. Typically, if you're going to name them really basic names like input and output, make sure it's accurate as to what you're doing with the text box. Anyway, all right. So this time we're going to actually use the stuff from form 2. Let's actually first set our text box. So txt input3.text. We're going to make that equal basically the result of these 2 methods. Concatenated together. Just showing you, really showing you here that you can work with that data without showing the form. Now, obviously, if you don't show the form at least once before, then that data won't, then this won't be something that can be done, I guess. Trying to think of a good way to phrase that. It won't be something that is, it'll try and get the information, but there's no information to get because it's null at that point. So if I click run 2 here, nothing happens. Technically, something does happen. It calls the methods from form 2 still, but form 2 has no data to give us. So basically returns null twice, and we concatenate null together and there's nothing. So we have an empty string basically. Actually, technically it is the empty string, not null, I think at this point, technically. I have to double check to be 100% positive. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the case. Anyway, so it's concatenating 2 empty strings together, which is an empty string. Anyway, so but if we could click run here, we show the form. We've already created it in our constructor. We called the constructor for that form. So that's where the actual form is being created, by the way. You can put this line right here in other places. If we wanted to generate a new version of that form each time. All right, I'll just put in garbage information here again. Click our run button, hides it. Now, if we click run 2, we're not even showing the form, we're just grabbing information from it and we can work with it. So if I click run 2, it does the exact same thing it did last time, but this time there is something in that information and we concatenate it together and we display it here. All right, so this is kind of a cheap and easy way to pass information between forms. we could, I wonder if, do we have access to, well, we don't have access to that one, never mind. Okay, so hopefully you might be able to see where this could apply to our project. Okay, remember our final project that we're working on here, final in-class thing. See if I can find where I had that. All right, is this, let me pull it up. Okay. I mentioned it last week. And I will pull it up this week. Let's see here. Make this actually available so you can be able to see it. Okay, and let me make sure I had the due date set right. I have half of them set wrong. Yeah, it wasn't set right. Let me switch this real quick. And I'll give you an extra day even. How about that? Okay. All right, so our final project. And by the way, this is final class diagram is the first part of it. And there's going to be, let me make this one available too. And there'll be a turn-in spot for the actual project itself. All right. So we'll actually look at class diagrams too in a second. And they don't have to be the most complicated class diagrams in the world. So don't get too scared about them. And really, we can generate them by, we can auto-generate them too. Is a pretty cool little feature. Okay, but there's lots of ways you can do class diagrams. But the gist of a class diagram, it gives you what classes you're working with in your project, what methods they have associated with them, and what data. It's just little charts. So don't be panicked. Oh no, what's a class diagram? We'll look at that in a second as well. All right, so remember that I mentioned last week's recording that your final project that you're going to be working on is basically a combination of the maze, the RPG little thing, and then the ability to do a little file IO and save states. Okay, you're going to combine the three together. So we just saw how you can combine the forms together. You should be able to throw the saving and loading into the process as well. That's going to be with a little bit of file IO that we saw from last week. So the idea is this: you'll start the maze, you'll navigate through the maze like normal, but either at a random interval, this part's up to you how you want to do it, but some point in time during the maze, the player will hit a quote random encounter or whatever, and that's going to pop up the RPG form. Okay, then they'll go and then finish it up, and as soon as they win or lose, it's going to return back to either the maze, and you'll check to see if they won or lost. So you're going to need to save that in the first form. So when they get to the end of the fight or whatever, you'll need to save whether they won or lost in some sort of variable. Maybe have a method that the maze can then check, or something like that, that'll check to see if they won or lost. And if they lost, obviously you need to say, sorry, you lost, or whatever, some sort of you lose kind of message. If they win, then they can continue, you can continue on in the maze. Now you can have multiple encounters if you want, but you need at least one random encounter. And even though we use the word random encounter, this is going back to more of the gamer terminology. It doesn't have to be a literal random encounter. It could be hard-coded at a certain spot in the maze or something like that. But again, how you do that's up to you. All right, and the saving, that's up to you as well, how you want this to work. You could have it so the player can save at any given point by clicking a button or something like that. And you could have it set to where they can save on either of the forms. So you could have it set to they can only save in the maze. You could have it set to they can only save in the RPG part. You could have it set to where they can save on both. The how you do this is up to you. You just have to have a saving feature. They could have to be in a certain spot on the maze in order to be able to save it. I had one student who asked me about this, and I think it was last semester, maybe the one before that. Anyway, a couple semesters back, asked me if you could have it to where if you hit a certain point, it would do a save point, and that's perfectly fine too. Or if you get to a certain spot on the maze, it saves it automatically. So that's fine too, as long as you mention it. That's what you're doing. So the options are up to you as to what you want to do and how you want to do it. But it has to have that feature in there somewhere. Is the important part there. Okay. Now let's look at the class diagrams real quick. So you should have all the tools to do this, this part. Let's now look at the diagram section. Oh, I still have this thing running. Okay, me trying to remember where this built-in feature, I don't use it too often. Is it add then diagram or something like that? It's new item and then diagram. I think that's what, yeah, here we go. Now you might have to add this, add a package to get this to work. Okay, so I just right-clicked on my project, went to add, and then a new item, and then I did a little search for class diagram. I'm gonna have to remember what there's an install you might have to have. One of the versions, it was auto included in the Visual Studio for the longest time. Then one of the versions not too long ago, they took it out. I don't remember if they put it back into this one by default. I'll have to check that. So let me I'll check that and I'll get back to y'all if there was a particular thing the class diagram had to have been installed. I don't remember on that one, to be frank. But anyway, once you get that package installed, if it might be installed again by default, I don't remember. But once you get it installed, you'll see this. You'll see over to the side on our toolbar, we have a couple of new interesting things to look at. We have a pointer, don't worry about that one. We have class, enum, interface, abstract class, struct, and delegates. We have inheritance, association as well. So let's say we wanted to make a class here. I just clicked and drug that. I can name this class whatever I want. So let's say I wanted to name this class I don't know. Let's see here. How did the RPG side of things go? We had the hero and the villain, and then we had things that inherited from the hero. We could have maybe a base class that they all inherit from, called maybe I don't know. We'll just go with that. We'll have a hero class. All right. Notice it's creating that file here for me. In this hero class, I can kind of modify. Oops, I didn't mean to double click it. I can modify it. Let me drag this thing right here up. Notice we have methods, properties, and fields and events that we can add in. So I can click here and add a method that says maybe get name. All right, and I can give it a type string. And I could make it public, or I could make it private, or I could make it whatever. But public or private is probably what you want to go with. And I can give it a little summary if I want to. I could say returns the name of the hero class object, something like that. Or I could just leave it returns the name of the hero. That's fine too, whatever. And maybe in the properties here, we're going to have a property called name. And of course, it would be a string, and maybe it's private. I don't know. And then we could say maybe holds the hero's name. So you should hopefully get the idea behind this by now. You basically fill out the idea behind it. We don't have to put any of the code yet. We just think of what methods are we going to need with our class? What pieces of data will we need with this class? Well, hero needs the hero class needs maybe a name. Maybe you'll need something for the HP and maybe a attack value or whatever. And, you add in all this information. Whether you make things fields or properties, by the way, is up to you. You could do both, a combination of the two, or just the one or the other. I don't care which. Probably should try and be consistent with whatever you pick. But that's not that important. Okay, let's say we want to make a class that's going to maybe remember how we had like the fighter class, like I think. Let's throw that in here into the mix. So we'll call this fighter class. Okay. I think you can actually import existing ones as well, and it'll kind of populate all this information for you. Maybe I'll pull in the villain class if I can find it. And let's make doing some inheritance. Okay, I think you click the first one, then the second one. I think that's how that one works. Yeah. All right, so if we double click our fighter class, it should show. Oh, nope. No, it's the other way around. Dadgummit. I knew I'd get it wrong. Reverse the arrow. So you click on the one that's inheriting first, then to the one it inherits from. There we go. That's our inheritance being shown. And by the way, you can click and drag these objects around to kind of move them around as you see fit. So now we have fighter inheriting from hero, and hero is not inheriting from fighter. Now notice, by the way, when I double click on that hero class, I get these nice comments already put in. Because remember, in this class diagram here, I put in, for instance, get name. I put in a little summary. Well, if I go to the hero class, it puts the summary before my method, or in this case, property. Likewise, it puts the summary before that method, which a really cool way to auto comment your code. I didn't have to do any commenting. It did it for me. But by the way, this class diagram stuff, this is some of the stuff you'll do in development process and making an application. This is before you're doing the actual coding, you're designing the classes. That's important to get them well structured before you actually do your coding. Obviously, in the smaller project like we're doing here, where something you can crank out in a week, a little bit less important that you get the diagrams perfect. But if you get them perfect from the start, it's a lot easier to get your project working. Okay. And we could add properties and methods to this hero class if we wanted to, or we could add a, I don't know, property. I don't know. Let's try to import one, because I think you can import existing. Might have to navigate around, see if I can find one of the projects that had a decent class in it. Let's see here. What do we name that one? Was it let's see, that's 231s. Where's 230s? Is it called, was it just this in class? Nope. If I can find one of the ones that we did. Oh, maybe it was this one. Nope. I should name things better. Maybe it's this one. Nope, not that one either. Oh, well, son of a gun. It's got to be one of these. Let's see here. Maybe it's this one. Oh wait, I think this is the name from this one, literally right here. Well, if I could find the project, I could import a class from it and show you. Maybe it's this one. Nope. Come on now. It has to be. Did I delete it on accident? Was it this? Oh, come on. This is just getting ridiculous now. I'm gonna try this one. If it's not this one, I'm just gonna grab a random son of a gun. Oh wait, here, I found one. I found one. Haha. Oh man. Let's see here. Let's display let me bring in, for instance, this one right here. Oh, okay. We have to include it into this project first. I forgot about that aspect of the equation. Let's do that real quick. I'll drag a couple somethings in here. Let me get the location. So I'm going to another file over here. I'm actually going to delete out. I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to just delete these both back out. I'm going to delete the actual classes out as well. And you'll see why, because I'm going to grab them from another project. Because you might be doing this too. You might have already had everything working for the one project. You might want to just be able to drag your classes in. All right, so to get some classes in here, I'm going to find, hopefully that, I remember, I think it was this one. Was it this one? Yes, it was this one. All right, so I'm going to click, and I'm just going to click and drag over from Windows Explorer, click and drag and drop it on my project here. And notice, boom, it dragged and dropped that class in here. And I'll do the same with this one. Boom, drops it in there. And we'll throw this one in the mix too. I don't remember if we had anything else in this point in time, but now I can add a class. I can add existing. And now I should be able to pick one that's in my project here. And you want to name it properly still. Wait, add to existing file. Oh, wait. Oh, I think it's the other way around. I think you drag and drop the file into it. Yeah, there we go. I had it wrong. You don't click and drag the class thing. You actually drag the class from your project into it, and it'll do it for you there. And notice already has the inheritance set up. So it has, you know, things nicely done for us. Note it has all of our properties and methods already set up. So if you already have the classes made, you can click and drag them into your project, and then you can click and drag them onto your class diagram. I don't remember which version of the project this one happened to have been, but yeah. So you'll be doing this, making a class diagram and of the project. So you'll have a couple of things thrown in here. You know, you'll have your form itself. You know, you have your form in there for the maze, your form in there for the RPG, and all the classes that are associated with it, and any classes that are associated with the maze. So you kind of got a couple ways you can do it. If you don't have all your files already made, you can click and add a new class, and then you can type in all the stuff. It'll auto-generate the information for you, and then you can kind of fill in the details code-wise. Or if you've got the classes already made, you can click and drag them over. Now, obviously, you're going to have to modify your projects to work together a little bit. But they were kind of set up in a way that they should be hopefully easy for you to do that. And by the way, how you organize things is up to you. One classic style is this right here, where you have the base class up above, and then it kind of trees out from there. So we have this base class. These two both inherit from it. If there's a super class above that, it'd be above and, you know, tree style. You could also have them maybe more of a sideways fashion, same kind of idea, where it's more like this, where, you know, parent class here, and then base class. But typically they're organized in that kind of fashion. And then obviously if one's not related, it can go anywhere and in relation. You could theoretically even keep these, try and be on one line or something like that. Really, that's just organization's up to you. Just try not to have something like this where you got one down here, this thing over here, and just like crazy lines going everywhere. Try to keep things together. So if you you wouldn't want to have something up here inheriting from something way down over here. It could nasty and messy. Gotta keep them together. And by the way, you can just click and drag to keep things together like that. Okay, I think with our powers combined now, you should have everything at your disposal to create this project. So one last time, the big thing, show dialogue displays the second form and waits for a response, or waits for it to be finished. Oh yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to demo real quick. Let's just say we had a button right here on form 2. I added a second button on form 2. I forgot about this. I was going to show you. Let's call it we'll call it update or something like that. I don't know. And our text, we'll call it, I guess, update. Okay, an update, we're going to simply make this button set our text for those text boxes. So we'll say txt output 2 dot text is going to equal output 2. I don't know. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. Txt output 2 dot text is going to equal output 2. Oh wait, I reverse that. Make the first one output 1. Okay. All right. Now let's run this thing real quick one last time. Oh, we got some build errors. What's our build error? Oh, oops. The files I click and drag in required some other things that I did not click and drag in. So I'm actually going to delete those things out real quick, the hero and the fighter and the black mage class as well. Just because I didn't include everything. I'm even going to delete the class diagram real quick, just because it might throw some errors too, since it doesn't have everything it needs. Now I'm going to try and run it again. It should work. But yeah, when you do click and drag a class into your project and it requires other classes, make sure you include all those. So I'm going to click that first run button. Wherever that goes, gives us our show dialog result. I'm going to click the update button. Notice I don't have this dot hide in our update button, and we are still on form 1. Form 2 has not started back. I can't even click on form 2 right now. See how it gives that little annoying Windows beep that I just did 50 times at you, if you can hear my sound. But if I hit run, that calls the where's the code? That calls our this.hide, which basically sends it back to the other form. Now we could also do a this.close, and that works as well. Oops, it's still running. So I just commented out hide, did a close. You click the run button here. We'll click this update button. Same thing again. Update doesn't do anything, so this is not hiding yet. We're still on this form. So this could give you another indication. You can have buttons on your main form that don't stop it from functioning. Or you could have maybe a condition that triggers that calls this.close or this.hide. Now if I hit run, we see we're back to the main method here. No, I can do the run 2. I can run again, which brings back the form. Okay. So that's another option there. Hide's actually, I think, a bit superior to close in this instance. Anyway, since you want to have it pop up and whatever. But yeah, so that's a good thing to look at right here. You can have methods hence, you could have certain buttons that you could click that I'll show you maybe another little instance of something that might be of interest. Let's have count equals 0. Okay, so we'll have plus equals 1. And we'll have if okay, you can probably see what I'm getting at here. We have just a normal method that, remember before, didn't do anything as far as, if I click update a couple times here, I should have put it as something a lot smaller than 10. Boom. As soon as this triggered, this whatever condition happened to be triggered, I called that hide method. So maybe, I don't know if you had something that checked for a win condition in that form, you could then, maybe do something like this. Maybe I have a Boolean method called we won, and it could return true or false. Maybe I'll have a, oh, it's still running. Let me stop it. Maybe we have a private bool called lowercase we won. Maybe we'll set that to false. Oh, not bool, sorry. Just we won. And then maybe this will just return we won. And maybe in here we can have something that says, I don't know, we won equals, actually I'll put it only if maybe we'll put it inside here. We won equals true. And then I could have something in form 1 that could check to see if form 2 dot we won, then we'll say txt, oh, I don't remember which one was which, they're terribly named, text equals we, and then txt from form 2 dot text equals 1, and then we could have this other thing be an else. You could see hopefully maybe how this could apply to working with your two forms here. So for instance, we get to the, we are navigating our maze and you want to click that random encounter. Well, boom, you just need to do that show dialog for the other form, and bam, they're in this form here. And they have to, click a bunch of things. So for instance, they're going through the whatever this form's telling them to do. They're clicking attack and whatever. They keep clicking attack. And eventually it triggers a condition, which again, I should have reduced that from 10. And boom, now in this form, you can check to see if that condition was met and do something accordingly. And of course, hopefully you can combine this together and figure things out. Okay. Anyway, so there you go. That should be everything you need to finish this final project up. There technically is no in-class this week, but since that sounds boring, we'll have you turn in a screenshot of this thing saying we won. So we'll click the run button a couple times. You could even take a screenshot of this. You can take a screenshot of this right here and turn that in for the in class. All right. Well, it was fun. Good luck. Exam, you get all exam week, which is the, I can show it on this screen, I think, which is almost all of this week right here. It's I think starts technically the 27th and then goes to the 3rd. So you can take it all that time frame. But I think we'll probably do 27th through the 30th. Because it does take a little while to grade these things, and I have, a deadline. So anyway, well, you'll have the 27th through the 30th to take that exam. All right. So good luck. You'll do fine if you study. Email me if you have any trouble with this assignment. I'll try to help you like usual. All right. Well, it was fun. Y'all take care. Now the awkward moment where I sit here trying to remember how to stop the recording. There we go.